UN Secretary General Guterres begins first mission to Nigeria, meets IDPs in Maiduguri. Durbars and visits from the royal thrones on day 2 Sallah festivities. Plus, police upgrades criminal database as security agencies perfect strategies on national security. Hello and welcome to NTA Network News. I am Ian Ray John and we're reaching you live from Abuja. Adiola Komi is in our Lagos studio while Minauko Apasi joins us from Enugu. Many thanks for joining us. And just before we begin, it's good you know that you can follow this news broadcast live on our website, nta.ng/live, and all our social media platforms displayed on the screen for updates. It is day 1 of the UN Secretary General's visits to Nigeria, and the stopover in Maiduguri, Borno State is already throwing up discussions on the need for increased global attention to catering refugees and persons displaced by conflicts. Though conflict-impacted communities in parts of Borno State have witnessed significant interventions from aid organizations, the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, says there is still a clear need for more assistance. Nnamdi Odupo tells us more.
This is definitely a case of don't believe everything you see from the sky. On the ground, the town of Banki in Bama local government area of Borno State still shows signs of a struggling community. Once captured by insurgents in 2014 and recaptured a year later by the Nigerian troops, Banki is now officially a refuge town. But as the number of residents increase in the camp, so also is the demand on available resources and amenities. Then comes the United Nations. For all of its flaws, the UN system retains its relevance as a key response tool. The Secretary General of the World Body, Antonio Guterres, asserted as much when he kick-started his visit to Nigeria with a tour of the UN-assisted rehabilitation center for women, young persons and repentant Boko Haram members in Maiduguri. He was also at the refugee camp in Bubio, a community on the fringes of Maiduguri, where he acknowledged government's deliberate attempt at catering for the needs of those in the camp.
The Borno I found today is a Borno of hope, is a Borno with future. And I was very impressed to see the policy that is being applied here, recognizing that you don't fight terrorism just by military means. You fight terrorism addressing the root causes of terrorism.
Between his visits to the IDP camp and the government house in Maiduguri, the UNSG cemented his advocacy on aid for conflict-impacted communities, but more importantly, with a message on why it matters and should matter. In Maiduguri, northeast Nigeria, Nnamdi Odigbo, NTA News.
Nnamdi Odigbo live joining me from Maiduguri to give us some excerpt on the UN Secretary General's visits to Nigeria. He's actually in Maiduguri at the moment. Nnamdi, good to see you.
Yeah, thanks. Very good to see you too.
So could you just tell us the significance of the UN Secretary General's visit to Nigeria?
Well, in many ways, it was started as it was started as a solidarity visit to Nigeria, and I think in many ways it has been, even though it's the day 1 of the Secretary General's visit to Nigeria, but we have already begun to see manifestations of that fact. I mean, it would. Let me just say quickly here that critics not being a devil's advocate here, but some would say that for, like we did say in the report, for all of its flaws, the UN system has remained quite a unique platform for responding to humanitarian crisis. So this is just one way to show that, look, the UN isn't all about other nations, but still has its focus on Nigeria. We did reflect in our reports that international aid agencies are very active, proactive, as a matter of fact, in a lot of cases, in not just northeast Nigeria, but in other parts of Nigeria as well. So, I mean, this is one way that the UN demonstrates that, yes, situations like this in Nigeria does matter, and also demonstrates that it should matter in the first place in area.
All right, brilliant. I actually listened to Antonio Guterres, earlier, and he actually made a statement that Nigeria is fighting the root causes of conflict in the country. What does he mean by that?
Well, you know for a fact that there have been issues, underlying issues as regards insurgency and terrorism in Nigeria. Anthony Guterres, I beg your pardon, did visit the IDP camp on the fringes of Maiduguri that we referenced in our report, and saw firsthand some deliberate efforts by the government to alleviate and cater to the needs of those impacted and affected by conflicts in parts of Borno State. Well, like he did say, it would seem that the government is not just taking a kinetic approach to resolving these issues, but also taking a non-kinetic approach, targeting some underlying issues, some factors that have driven and continues to drive insurgency, in the northeast. And of course, let me just say this very quickly. I mean, hunger and malnutrition, for instance, it talks about government taking wise decisions that impact on food choices and food supply. It referenced agriculture and talked about government taking proactive steps, to encourage agriculture, to meet the hunger needs and perhaps curb malnutrition in parts of the northeast in area. So I want to think that is perhaps what the UNSG referenced when he mentioned that government is taking some deliberate actions to attack insurgency, the root causes of insurgency in area.
All right, good to know that the UN thinks that the government has been responsive. On a final note, I know you had a brief session with the Secretary General. If you were to ask him one question, what would that be?
As a matter of fact, I did speak with Musbao some hours ago on the 6 o'clock news, and I told him that there was a question I would have loved for the UNSG to answer, or something he should have, I think he should have responded more to. He mentioned the fact that a government was tackling the issue of insurgency and the UN would partner with insurgency, but we do know for a fact that the UN is insisting on accountability for war crimes being committed in the Russia-Ukraine war. I would that going by what the US did a couple of weeks ago when the UN released the list of those persons alleged to be involved in sponsoring in Nigeria, the UN chief should probably have made the same call here in Nigeria. And of course, there's another issue. The issue of, some would say UN has been quite marginal on international crisis management. And the fact that one would expect the UN to be more proactive in curbing conflict rather than reactive in mitigating the effects. So, I mean, of course, there are plenty of issues we would have loved for but like we know it's a 2-day visit. There may be opportunities before he leaves to also bring some of these issues up. I'm hoping we do get the opportunity on the NTA so we can throw some of these critical and vital questions at him.
All right, many thanks, Unamdi, and of course, wishing you all the best in the course of the visit of the Secretary General of the UN. Now, let's take a look at other issues. The 4th General Assembly of the Reunion of Episcopal Conference of West Africa has opened in Abuja. The conference is being attended by Catholic bishops from across the SAP region, and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo led the federal government delegation to the event. Kelvin Evonwaye reports.
It is the largest body of Catholic bishops in West Africa, which meets periodically to examine not only issues in the church, but governance and policy direction of the governments in the sub-region. Vice President Yemi Osibanjo, who led a federal government delegation including Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, and ministers, commended the role of the Catholic Church in nation building, especially in various peace initiatives, and pledged Nigeria's continued support for peace and stability in the sub-region.
All our efforts and our greatest efforts to integrate our community have been thwarted not just by external forces, but and concerns especially around sovereignty of our nations. But they've also resulted in a situation where social conflicts in our nations and around our borders have critically affected our capacity to truly integrate in the way that we wish.
Re-emphasizing Pope Francis' admonition that the church must play active part in fostering peace and justice around the world, the president of RICOA, Most Reverend Ignatius Kigama, tasked governments in the region on fairness and equity, the lack of which, he says, breeds conflicts.
Once there is brotherhood, the conflicts, the wars, the dissensions, the discrimination, and all that will not be there.
The bishops will be in Abuja for the next 1 week, during which they will deliberate on several issues affecting the sub-region, focusing on the theme, Path to Build Brotherhood and Sustainable Peace in West Africa. In Abuja, Kelvin Ewonwaye, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the colourful Hawan Daushe Durbar in Kano remains an earth-shaking cultural fiesta that brings to the fore the depth of cultural might unique to the ancestral civilization of the ancient city. Vice President Yemi Osibanjo, who joined thousands of enthusiastic fan catchers in Kano, salutes the cultural value of the Kanawa. Muhammad Ali reports on this high point of Sallah celebration.
The historic Hawandoshi Durbar comes a day after Sallah celebration. It is one of the most colorful Durbar in the series of Sallah events. People from all walks of life troop into the ancient city of Kano to catch a glimpse. Vice President Yemi Osibanjo was among the thousands of spectators accompanied by Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje to the Southern Gate Arena. Vice President took time to carefully observe the procession of horse riders by traditional title holders, where he described the Durbar as fascinating.
By a fantastic spectacle. So much pageantry. And you know, Kano is always number one. Kano was very
It's fantastic, and that is why we created additional Emirate Council. What you saw today, this evening, took place all over the other 4 Emirate councils.
Others say it is their first time of witnessing such spectacular display.
You just signifies the amazing historical and cultural excellence of Kano and the strong UK-Nigeria relationship.
Well, it's my first time, very impressive. I mean, as a son of Northern Ghana, which has almost the same culture of Northern Nigeria, I'm very, very proud.
Muhammad Ali, NTA News.
And still on Salah, it's yet another season of Eid al-Fitr, and Muslims continue to enjoy it while it lasts. In Bauchi, Mahmoud Muhammad reports that this year's traditional Salah was full of colourful cultural display and pageantry.
Muslims in Bauchi State celebrate the annual Salah Daba, which usually follows the Ramadan fast. The Bauchi State Governor is at the palace of the Emir to pay Salah homage. A day after the Eid, the Emir returns the visit of the Governor. Governor Bala Muhammad is optimistic of the economic benefits of the festival.
we are really entrenching what we can do in order to leverage on our tradition to even generate IGR, so that we'll be able to, and also to showcase ourselves as a state that is peaceful and that has tradition and culture that we can show the outside world.
As the custodian of the people's culture, the Emir is here with this message.
It's
been the tradition of this emirate for over 100 years today. We are very much happy to witness this occasion today, and you can see everyone is out in different regalia.
This year's Durbar was well organized, well planned, and I think well populated with horses and human resources.
It's a colorful display that accommodates every class. Therefore, Muslims are charged to imbibe every teachings of the Ramadan season. In Bauchi, Mahmoud Muhammad, NTA News.
Similarly, one of the important features after Ramadan and associated Eid prayers, particularly in northern part of the country, is Durbar celebration with unique identity to forge unity and understanding between the rulers and their people. Here is Halaru Muhammad with a mix from some of the Emirates.
The end of Ramadan after 30 days of solemn commitment and endurance is highly celebrated by people of northern Nigeria. There is a variety of cuisine to share among kids and kin, exchange of visits, traditional displays, and Durbar across Emirates in the region. The northern city of Kano, Emir Amina Ado Bayero observed 5 days of traditional Sallah Durbar. In colorful traditional attires, decorated horses and tambourines, the royal father, title holders, a retinue of 8 go around to greet his people. There is an outstanding show of royalty in Katsina Emirate under the Emir Abdulmumin Kabir Usman. After supplication to Almighty Allah for blessings and prosperity, the royal father will lead the usual Durbar of horse procession amid the unique ambience of drummers and flutists. Similarly, in Zaria, headquarters of Old Zazzau Emirate, a long-standing hound barracky since colonial era still persists with changes to reflect the contemporary Nigeria. Emir Ahmed Nuhu Bamali leading contingents of horse riders comprising district heads, traditional title holders, pay homage on Governor Nasru Ahmed El-Rufai. The horse procession starts from the ancient city of Zaria to the official residence of the governor in Sabangari. In northern Nigeria, this festive period signals the return of normalcy in post-COVID-19 era as the celebration continues among the people. Awal Halaru, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Sultan of Sokoto, Mohammed Saad Abubakar, has asked Nigerians to see their diversities as basis to work together to make the country a better place for all. This came to the fore when governors of Sokoto and Ekiti states paid Sallah homage on the Sultan at his palace. Talhatu Abdullahi has the report.
Governor Amin Waziri Tambol paid traditional Sallah homage on the Sultan shortly after Eid al-Fitr prayers. At the palace, Tambol re-echoed his pledge to complete all the ongoing capital and legacy projects across the state before the end of his second tenure in office. The aim, according to the governor, is to ensure well-being of the people of the state despite economic challenges. Tambol also appreciated the Sultan's fatherly role in supporting government policies since assumption of his administration. Sultan Muhammad Saad Abubakar commended government for its annual Ramadan program and in meeting the needs of the people in various sectors of development. Also at the palace on Sallah homage were the chairman, Nigerian Governors Forum, and Ekiti State Governor Kayode Fayemi, who described as a worthy of note the leadership role of the Sultan in promoting religious harmony and unity among Nigerians.
We pray God Almighty that you would remain consistently blessed to be able to render to our people all that God has asked you to.
We need a lot of understanding, collaboration together, energy that will bring all of us together and speak with one voice for our country to get out of The present situation that we find ourselves for insecurity, unemployment, of course, the price of goods, the foodstuff are going higher and higher. And I think as governors, we need to sit down and find a way out of this problem.
The Sultan thanked the Nigerian Governors Forum chairman for the visit and prayed Allah to take him back home safely. In Sokoto, Dalhatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Also, the Emir of Zauzau, Ahmed Nuhu Bamali, is proposing community-based intelligence gathering in synergy with traditional institutions as part of strategies to combat kidnapping and other forms of criminality in the society. The Emir was speaking in Zaria when he led district heads and other traditional title holders on Sallah homage at his residence in Sabungari, Zaria. Tina Turu reports.
This ambience keeps on resonating a day after Eid al-Fitr, known as Hawan Bariki, a long-standing tradition which spans hundreds of years. It is a tradition which the Emir, in company of district heads and traditional title holders, will pay Salah homage to Governor of Kaduna State at his official residence located at Sabongari Zaria Government Reservation Area. The occasion provides an avenue for the Emir to address the governor and advise him on issues of local and national interest. Emir Ambassador Nuhu Bamali noted with concern high level of insecurity in the country and acknowledged government's efforts to addressing the situation. He, however, said overcoming these challenges in the next foreseeable future is possible with community-based support to security agencies. The Emir directed traditional rulers in his domain to resuscitate local intelligence gathering involving communities. Governor Nasir El-Rufai described traditional institutions as critical components in overcoming security challenges. He said his administration will continue to explore ways of ending criminality, especially kidnapping, in the state. He appealed for understanding among the people in the state and called on them to intensify prayers for improved security situation in the country. Tina Turu, NTA News.
The senator representing Adamawa Central at the National Assembly, Aishatu Dahiru Ahmed Binani, is urging all Muslims to deepen their spiritual belief, strengthen moral values, and recommit their hearts and minds to activities and actions that demonstrate the true benefits of their faith. In a statement, the senator congratulated the Muslim Ummah for completing the Ramadan fast successfully and noted that Ramadan has been a period of deep reflection, love, and sacrifice. A moment when the Muslim faithful offered prayers to Allah, not just for themselves, but also for the communities and the nation as a whole. Senator Binani also commended the role of leaders of the Islamic faith and other faiths in ensuring that Nigeria as a whole enjoys sustained peace, stability, and togetherness among all the citizens. Time for a first break. Please stay. Thank you for staying. Let's now talk security. The Inspector General of Police, Usman Kalibaba, has enhanced the Nigeria Police Crime and Incident Database Center to provide additional aid to police operatives in acquiring credible electronic information to support investigations. In a statement, the force says the upgrade will facilitate easy identification of suspects, crime location, modus operandi, global positioning system to geolocate crimes, amongst others. Meanwhile, the IGP has mandated the project consultants to fast-track comprehensive training of dedicated police personnel who would man the systems across zonal, state and divisional headquarters for the collection, management and uploading of biometric data, case files, investigation and trial processes to the central database at the force headquarters, Abuja. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Army has condemned the gruesome murder of 2 soldiers on Saturday, April 30th, 2022, who were heading to Imo State for their traditional marriage, which the Army says was carried out by members of the indigenous people of Biafra and its armed affiliate, Eastern Security Network. A statement by the Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Onyema Nwachukwu, identified the victims as Master Warrant Officer Audu Linus, retired and Private Gloria Matthew. It says the action of members of the prescribed group is unwarranted, especially considering the fact that one of the soldiers, Private Gloria Matthew, hails from Nkweri local government area of Imo State, southeast Nigeria. The fact that her ethnicity did not prevail on the group portends the deep hate, desperation and lawlessness with which IPOB and ESN have been unleashing terror on Indigbo, whom they claim they are on a mission to protect, as well as other innocent Nigerians who are resident or transiting the southeast. In other news, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, says the ongoing investigation of a billionaire drug baron, Chief Afam Malison Ukatu, has led to the discovery of how the suspect imported into Nigeria in October 2019 two containers containing 1,284 cartons of tramadol with market value of over 22 billion naira. In a statement to counter insinuations that NDLEA has no evidence to pin a crime on Ukatu, who is the chairman and CEO of Malison Group of Companies, Ukatu was arrested on board a flight to Abuja at the Murtala Muhammad Second Terminal of the Lagos Airport, Ikeja, on Wednesday, 13th April. Investigation reveals how he has been a major importer of large consignments of different brands and high dosages of tramadol, hydrochloride, which are illicit. Meanwhile, NDLEA says it has, in the course of investigation on the 3 billion naira tramadol saga between Ukatu and the Abakiari's IRT team, established more evidences on how Ukatu has been importing large quantities of tramadol far above the approved threshold allowed into the country. The suspect, however, will soon be charged to court. And in Zamfara, a fire incident has been reported at Kara Namoda local government office of INEC in Zamfara state. The incident occurred around 11 p.m. on Monday, 2nd May 2022. No casualty was reported, while critical materials such as permanent voters' cards, PVCs, and registration machines for the ongoing continuous voter registration exercise stored in fireproof cabinets were saved. A statement by INEC National Commissioner for Information, Festus Okoye, however, indicates that the building was extensively damaged. A number of fixed and movable office furniture and machines were destroyed in spite of the efforts by the Zamfara State Fire Service and other agencies to contain the inferno. Now let's head to Port Harcourt. The former chairman of APC in River State, Ojukai Flag Amakri, has declared his intention to contest for the party's governorship ticket ahead of 2023 general election. Kingsley Amajiri reports.
The governorship hopeful Ojukai Flag Amakri was treated to a grand reception by Wayful Empowerment and Development Initiative at Polo Club Port Harcourt. The group presented him with APC nomination form.
Now that I have your mandate, I am going to build this form. Honorable Ojukai Flag Amakri, declare my intention to run for the office of the governor.
Amakri was pleased by this action. He is delighted that democracy is all about the people and thrives when the will of the people prevails in public decision. On the issue of consensus by some group in the party, the governorship hopeful said it was a recommendation by a few persons in the party, adding that the people have the right to choose the party's flag bearer.
There is no consensus candidate. What happened is that a few persons decided to make a recommendation to write on the road to the Chibika, and he is studying it. So now, you the people, you will have to make your own submission to the leaders of this party.
With the assurance from his teaming supporters, Amakri pledged to vie for the state governorship seat and to serve for the overall interest of the populace. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
And in Akwa Ibom, the time to decide on how to vote into office the right people in the 2023 general elections is now. And the media must rise to its responsibility to enlighten the public on how best to make this all-important choice for the interests of the nation. This is coming from the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, at the 2022 International Press Freedom Day, organized by the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Akwa Ibom State Council. Kelvin Samuel reports.
2022 World Press Freedom Day celebration in Akwa Ibom State brought together seasoned politicians, academics and captains of industry to deliberate on ways of improving journalism and how to ensure freedom of the press, which the Minister of Transportation and other speakers described as the beauty of democracy.
Until we begin to hold every politician, every elite accountable, this is what we do for. To expose the ills in society and to help improve democracy. And on such days like this, we don't just show empathy and sympathy to the journalists, we put ourselves in their shoes. Don't practice journalism with the intent of maligning any other person or defaming the character of any other person. Nothing thrives in an atmosphere of strife, even the practice of journalism. So our efforts should be geared into maintaining the peace we have now and beyond the partisan political period.
The day is set aside by the United Nations to bring to the fore the fundamental principles of the press, evaluate press freedom around the world, help protect the media from attacks, and pay tribute to those who paid the utmost prices and the discharge of their duties. The event featured a lecture on the theme, Journalism Under Surveillance. In Uyo, Kelvin Samuel, NTA News.
Now time to join Adiola in Lagos for more news. Adiola.
Thank you, Inyere. Muslims have successfully concluded the Ramadan fast, one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Sure, lessons have been learnt during the holy month. In this report, Hengino John Adams looks at ways of sustaining the lessons beyond Ramadan.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
The holy month came with changes in lifestyle and lots of lessons, which include forgiveness, piety, giving, social balance, and other spiritual exercises.
We should be very close to God. We should be reading the Quran as well.
The sighting of the crescent moon marked the end of this year's Ramadan fast. Following closely is Eid al-Fitr. The occasion is for spiritual and social activities. But amidst merriment and even after, Islamic scholars say Muslims should not forget the lessons of Ramadan.
Man your tongue, how to speak with people. Speak good, not bad. Always speak to people good.
We should be peace lovers, as we have been told by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Because of Ramadan, you've left those acts, and I don't see any reason why you have to go back to it, because automatically you know it's not good. That's why you left it. If it's good, you continue in Ramadan.
The month of Ramadan was also characterized by intense prayers, especially the last 10 days. This, Muslims are expected to continue.
What is good for people is to do good, so that their reward will be good and will be bountiful, both in life and the hereafter.
As Muslims uphold the lessons of this year's Ramadan, they pray for sustenance as they look forward to 2023 for another spiritual experience. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
Scavengers have taken over the ruins of a collapsed building on Ibadan Street, Ebutemeta, Lagos, rummaging for scrap materials. Adeniyi Taiwo has the report.
The dust has settled over Ibadan Street in Ebutemeta after 10 people died in a collapsed 3-story building. Search and rescue operations have been concluded after reaching ground zero and the last body recovered. Now, people with other interests have taken over the scene.
What is going on right now is, that scavengers have taken over the site where the building collapsed. They are rummaging through the ruins searching for whatever they can lay their hands upon, from bedding materials to iron rods and other scrap for whatever purpose that they consider them useful for.
With money exchanging hands, those in charge are not too friendly, barely tolerating the sight of my camera. I managed to speak to Sulaiman, one of the scavengers.
So this whole bag now how much? All the, everything it is 3,000.
Several attempts to speak to some of the survivors did not yield any positive result, as they were said to be away, taking refuge with family members. Number 24, Ibadan Street, Epitometa, is the second building to collapse in the area in the last 3 months. In Lagos, Adeni Itaiwo, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nca.ng or live and on all our other social media handles for updates. It's time for us to pause here to enable us to take some more messages, and when we return, Mina in Enugu will give us stories from that zone.
Good evening and welcome to Enugu. The State Executive Committee of All Progressives Congress, APC Enugu State, has unanimously expelled former state party chairman and 5 other members for contravening the rules and regulations of the party. Correspondent reports that the resolution was disclosed at an expanded SEC meeting in Enugu. Addressing newsmen in Enugu after the extended State Executive Committee meeting of all the 17 local government chairmen of the All Progressives Congress in Enugu State, the State Secretary, Mr. Robert Ngu, disclosed that the former chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Enugu State, Mr. Ben Nwoye, has been engaging in anti-party activities which tend to disrupt the peaceful, lawful, and efficient organization of the party. Mr. Ngu emphasized that the 5 other members have also joined Mr. Nwoye in disrupting the activities of APC in Enugu State.
These 5 gentlemen have been expelled by the party in line with our constitution. Now, the other person is Mr. Ben Nwoye, who conspired with some elements to illegally break into the party store and unlawfully take away properties and sensitive documents belonging to the party while under suspension.
The chairman of All Progressives Congress, Enugu State, Mr. Ugo Abala, emphasized that the party is intact and will not hesitate to discipline erring members. The names of expelled members are as follows: Mr. Ben Nwoye, Mr. Kingsley Uduji, Dr. Joseph Oji, Chidera Obed, Mr. Obodeze Echo, and Chukwudi Igwe. In Enugu, the National Homegrown School Feeding Program has been adjudged one of the best in social investment program of the federal government. The direct impact on children and school enrollment makes the program a worthy investment in the future of the country. These views were expressed by the Enugu State Commissioner for Education during the handover of the utensils for the school feeding program by the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development to the Enugu State Government. Susan Eze has the report.
Under the National Homegrown School Feeding Program, over 9 million pupils are served one free meal a day in public schools across the country. The federal government has provided branded feeding utensils to be used in feeding the pupils across the country. Handing over the utensils to the Enugu State Government, Minister for Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Omar Farouk, here represented, pointed out that the program caters for about 197,000 pupils, 3,005 cooks in 1,030 schools in Enugu State. According to the minister, the program by design has shared responsibilities between the federal and state governments in providing the free meals for the children.
The federal government is responsible for the release of funds, guidelines, policies, and monitoring, where the state carry out the day-to-day implementation, including procurement of food items, selection of cooks, and vendors.
Enugu State Commissioner for Education, represented by the program manager, and the state focal person lauded the program, assuring of the state government's continued support.
Since we started this program in the state, honestly speaking, enrollment has increased, attendance in school has increased, health of the children is improving.
The school feeding program also accommodates periodic trainings for the food vendors to enhance their service delivery. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
And that's a bit from here. Network News continues with Henry in Abuja after this break.
The remains of Head of News and Current Affairs, NTA Maiduguri Network Center, Fatih Musa Abdullahi, has been laid to rest in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. The veteran broadcaster and assistant director of news died Monday, 2nd May, at the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital. Abubakar Musa reports.
Born in Maiduguri in November 1967, Fatih Musa Abdullahi started her journalism practice in Borno State Radio and Television before joining the services of the Nigerian Television Authority in 1994 as a news editor on grade level 9 and rose to the position of Assistant Director News. While paying tribute to her, veteran journalists who have worked closely with late Fatih described her as an embodiment of peace and knowledge who was instrumental to the development of the pen profession.
One attribute of her is sincerity, honesty, and dedicated to her own job.
It's a very terrible big shock to the NTA family. I've known later Fatih to be calm, cool, and calculated.
We have missed a very strong professional whose footsteps will never be forgotten in the history of NTA Maiduguri.
Fatih can best be described as a mother to all, a friend to all.
All that is expected in a human being. She has all that qualities.
A graduate of English from the University of Maiduguri, Fatih Musa Abdullahi, a foremost journalist and TV presenter, left behind 5 children, brothers, sisters, and grandchildren. In Maiduguri, Abubakar Musa, NTA News.
Also, sadly, the remains of a former staff of NTA, the late evangelist Joseph Chikeze Uluka, and elder brother to the former zonal director, Lagos Network Center, Elder Chidi Uluka, have been laid to rest at his country home, Azuyuluku, in Ikwano local government area of Abia State. Kingsley Ononiwu reports that the burial ceremony was preceded by a funeral church service conducted by the members of the United Evangelical Church.
Ceremony of the late evangelist Joseph Chikeze Uluka, who worked with the Nigerian Television Authority between 1976 to 1986, during which he rose to the position of the secretary to the then NTA Director General, Dr. Walter Ofanagoro, was attended by family members, friends, well-wishers, as well as serving and retired NTA staff. Preaching during the funeral church service in honor of the deceased, Pastor Chibuzo Anyanwu of the United Evangelical Church enjoined sinners and evildoers to repent of their evil deeds. In a funeral oration read by the bereaved family, late evangelist Joseph Uluka, popularly called De Chikeze, was described as a good man with a good heart.
He was a lover of people, especially those of Azun Oloko and his house.
High point of the funeral service was a special prayer offered for the members of the bereaved family by the officiating clergy. The remains of the departed fellow were thereafter laid to rest after graveside prayers and dust-to-dust rituals. Kingsley Ononiwu, NTA News.
And that's NTA Network News tonight. Many thanks for watching. And please remember that rape is a crime. Do the needful. I'm Yen Ray John. Have a good night.